physically, and like I said, the way that you view things. But without saying much more, without any further ado, I really want to pass this on to Tom. He is the Secretary of State for the de jure United States of America, the place that everybody has thought that they're from, but has been laying dormant, and it's time for everybody to return to our correct positions there. And Tom, how are you doing this evening? Thanks for being here.
I'm great. Thank you for the introduction. I really don't. I don't want to come across as well. The Secretary of State's office belongs to the Assembly. It does not belong to me. Even though I hold that office, it doesn't mean that I am the office. It belongs to the Assembly, and I want that to be known, because the way this government is run, it belongs to the people, not to the people who hold office. So I just want that to be an understanding amongst us. Okay?
No, I absolutely, I totally agree. And that's one of the beautiful things about the way you've got things set up. Anyway, I'll mute out and let you continue, brother.
Okay, so anyway, to bring us to current, this actually started off as a little project for somebody once. In fact, the man is here on the call, but I'll let him speak later. I just want to get done with this presentation that's been done. So what I want to do is I want to start the recording so that we can actually share this with you if you want to share it to other people. I'm going to mute everybody out and proceed forward. And then after we're done with the presentation, then we can go through questions and everything. And if you want to go back to a slide or whatever, we can do that too. That's the way I want to run it. If everybody's agreeable with that, that's what I'd like to do. Any questions before we get started?
Well, sounds excellent.
Okay.
Can we mute out the board real quick?
I'm going to do that right now.
You are muted. You can mute or unmute.
All right, everyone's muted out at this time.
*6.
All right, so
You've been muted.
let's start at the beginning here.
Press the star
I'm
key
going to start the recording.
This meeting is now being recorded.
I believe the recording
Mute
started.
off. This call is being recorded.
Okay. So, to start off here, I want to show you, this is the Great Seal of the Government of the United States of America. It was designed actually by, the middle part anyway, was designed by Thomas Jefferson way back when. That was supposed to become the Great Seal for the United States of America at the time. But they got kind of put to the wayside, and of course you know the Great Seal that they have now. But again, this belongs to the Assembly. The seal here belongs to the Assembly. When we are convening, they all own this seal. All right, so as I go on, the first thing we had was the Declaration of Independence. The Declaration of Independence established that, I want to kind of go forward here by saying, but when a long train of abuses and usurpations pursuing invariably to the same object evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and provide for new guards for their future security. So everything that we've done brings us to the point that we had the right to change the government because we didn't agree with it. And of course, it wasn't a government anyway, you know that. But we had the right to do it. And then under the Articles of Confederation, a lot of people don't realize that the actual name of the country was the United States of America with a capital T. It says right here in Article 1, the style of this confederacy shall be the United States of America. If you look on the side of the president's plane, it says United States of America, not the United States of America, which was the perpetual union that was formed in 1781, March 1st, 1781. And you can read that, of course, in the Articles of Confederation, but that is what it states. They're two separate entities. One of them is United States of America. The other one is the United States of America. And of course, there's a few other ones too, like United States and US. They're all different, every one of them. there's probably a few more mixed in there because there's another one with a lowercase u as well. So there's a bunch of different ones, and they're not all the same. A lot of people think it's the same thing, but it's not. So it's like the name game, and people should be aware of that. The Articles of Confederation established the name of the country, as I just went over. It formed a perpetual union, and it was ratified by all 13 states. It needed 74 delegates just to amend it. And if you know your history, only about 50, I think it was 54 that showed up, and 32 signed thereabouts, so they were a little shy. It was abandoned and not abolished. A lot of people couldn't read back then, so the United States of America and the United States of America sounded about the same. I think that might have been a way that they got over on people, but it started at that point. What we found was the General Post Office was abandoned in 1790. The Articles of Confederation were abandoned, and there was no chain of title to link documents together. So you had, in the beginning of the Declaration of Independence, these 13 United States. Then it went to the United States of America, and then it became United States of America and the Constitution. They're not linked together. There's no chain of title between those documents at all. Went to the Benjamin Franklin's ledger. We have a copy of Benjamin Franklin's ledger. If anybody wants it, they can have it. But it says here, Dr. Franklin, on the 4th day of November, 1776, was succeeded by, as Postmaster General by his relative John Burke, who was renamed in his office on the 28th day of January, 1782, when he was succeeded by Ebenezer Hazard, who was the last head of the General Post Office under the Confederacy. So they abandoned the post office at this point, and then in 1790, there was, and then it talks about where it's at out of the United States, and it tells you how many miles it was away. The General Post Office in that year of 1790 was located in New York, and Samuel Osgood was the first Postmaster General under the federal government. So they created a whole new post office, and that became USPS, which was not the General Post Office. There was no chain of title or a successor from Ebenezer Hazard to the new Postmaster General, Samuel Osgood. Therefore, it was abandoned. So we decided to reclaim it. And when we did, we reclaimed the General Post Office internationally for 90 days in accordance with international law, established chain of title between the documents, and created new flags and seals with chain of title. As you can see, this is the General Post Office seal. This is the General Postmaster Council, which is our internal court. This is the office of the Governor, Secretary of State, and in Congress assembled. So we have our own seals that we created. You cannot own that which you do not create. This is also our flag right here. The bison became equal to the eagle. I don't know if anybody remembers this, but Congress decided that they were going to make the bison equal to that of the eagle. The eagle, of course, is the president, and our governor holds the seal of the bison. So it became equal. So what we did was we acknowledged it. We acknowledged their decision and said, okay, we acknowledge that. We like that. That's good. So it worked out pretty well for us. We actually put a posting up there, and we have that in the newspaper if you want to look it up. We have a General Post Office. It's located in Sumter County, over in Florida. But if you go on Google Maps, you can look up General Post Office, Florida, and you will find it. It's got the NAC code. I don't know if anybody's familiar with the NAC code or not, but that is the natural area code, which is longitude and latitude. And it brings you right to the location, right to your front door if you want it to. It is separate from the USPS code, which is not a zip code. If you see right here, it's probably hard to see because it's a little bit small, but you can see the NAC code right there. And you can also look on our websites and you can see NAC codes as well. But you can look on Google Maps and you will find this post office. It actually does exist. And we also have the NAC code locator. If nobody knows anything about that, they can actually read the information here. It's got nothing to do with anything political, or it's not owned by anyone in particular. It's just something that they give out freely. NAC code locator. If you go to nactad.info, you can look up your actual address on here. You can look up any address anywhere in the world. So it's an actual system. It's an actual zip code type of thing, but it's not really a zip code. It's the NAC code. We rewrote the Articles of Confederation in order to bring it current, because it wasn't current at the time. We've amended it a few times, but it's still effective. You can read those as well on our website. We claim the metes and bounds of the territory of the 48 states. We created affirmations and oaths to be given with, it was based on the same oath that was done in the 1700s. I don't have that available right now to look at, but that's what it was based on. And we exiled ourselves from the corporation to the country of the United States of America. And then we also had a lieutenant commander from the U.S. Navy who was with us in the very beginning from 2010 to 2012. He ended up passing away, but what he did do was he left his rank and signature in order to give these oaths with. So he helped us establish a chain of title with it as well. And the military recognizes that as too. Under the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, I'm not sure if anybody's aware of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, but it was designed in order to give the people rights when they were all taken away in 33. So, what was her name? Yeah, I can't think of her name. Eleanor Roosevelt hated what her husband had done to the country, so she wanted to give people human rights. And that's what she did. She wrote up this document with some other people. And I know it's listed at the UN, but it's not a UN document. It's only adapted by the UN. Article 15 says, everyone has a right to claim a nationality. No one shall be arbitrarily deprived of his nationality, nor denied the right to change his nationality. And that is a law that's written in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. We are subject to the law of nations and subject to no other law. That makes it so that we can be subject to international law. That's all we're subject to as American nationals. People who have taken the oath. The oath is so important. Now, we had an incident where one of our people ended up going into court about driving without a license. Before he came here, he ended up serving 6 months in jail for having no driver's license. When he finally came here, he went to court, stated his case, and they decided that he was a non-citizen, non-resident alien to the U.S. of America, dismissed the case, and he walked out the door. This is in Kane County Courthouse over in Illinois. Just to give you an idea of what can happen. As a government, we are a national government. We're a republic form of government. We're American nationals, and we have a full functioning government here. Branches of government, we have established offices of the governor, secretary of state, Third Continental Congress, and General Postmaster Council. Courts, we have the General Postmaster Council, Human Rights Tribunal, and the War Crimes Tribunal. We haven't used the War Crimes Tribunal as of yet, but you never know, that could change. We have an investigation of police, that's the Human Rights Defenders. We are on LinkedIn. This is my LinkedIn account for the Secretary of State. And on this LinkedIn account, we have a lot of pretty distinguished people. You might disregard one or two people, but when you start to see people showing up that are, you know, close to the Secretary of Defense, the U.S. Navy, we have generals, admirals, Secret Service, CIA, FBI, you name it, Homeland Security, they're all there. and they're connected to us. And the funny thing about that is you think that they're watching us, but they're watching us for a different reason than you'd think, which is kind of cool. They don't just connect to anybody. We stopped BLM in Nevada when the Bundy Ranch was going on. I don't know if anybody recalls this, but the Bundy Ranch, when Cliven Bundy was feeding his cattle off the land, they wanted to charge him taxes for the land and everything else. We saw the Civil War brewing. We were almost ready to throw in the towel before this, but we decided that we were going to make one ditched effort to correct this. We stuck our necks out. I remember discussing it, and we thought, well, one of two things is going to happen. Either we're going to be arrested and taken in, or this is going to stop. Well, the latter is what happened. 3 days later, after this was all done, it stopped. We went out to Harry Reid, Sheriff Gillespie, and the rest of them, and they did stand down, which was amazing. It was really cool to watch. A lot of people don't even know about that. And then we also stopped the Ebola virus. What we did was we put out notice that we were going to hold the CDC responsible for anything they did for a false flag event or a pandemic in this country. And if you noticed, they stopped immediately. It wasn't long after that they stopped. We could probably give you a date on this document, but I just want to give you an overview. So they did actually stop. It was amazing to see. We have our own postage stamps. We mail them out and they get delivered. We can put certified mail on them. They'll trace them. We have to sign for them, the whole bit. So that works as well. We use the NAC code as the international address, and that works fine because it's out of the jurisdiction of zip code. We have our own currency. Now this one happens to be the $100 bill, but Nikola Tesla is on that one. What we decided was we were going to put people on there that actually made a difference in the world. The $5 bill has Eleanor Roosevelt on it. I actually have the bills here. I don't know if you've seen them yet or not. This is the one with John Hanton. He was the first president of the Confederacy. Let's see. This is the $10. That's Nikola. You saw that already. We have also Vivian Thomas. I don't know if anybody knows who he is. He was the first open heart surgeon. The 20 has to do with power. Eleanor Roosevelt was on the $5. We have the grain and food grain actually on the 50. On the 500, we have, why can't I think of his name? George Washington Carver, there it is. Of course, anyone who knows who he is, he was a slave. He had parents that were slaves, but he ended up going into college and finding the many uses for the peanut. So we have people that actually mean something on the money, which is kind of cool. And then we have our own IDs. We had somebody who had jury duty recently that showed his ID in an affidavit, and they dismissed him from jury duty and said, "We will never contact you again." We have our own driver's licenses. These are all human rights compliant driver's licenses, and we can go further into what a driver's license is, but at this time I'm just showing you a brief overview, so bear with me. And we also have a surety bond that goes along with it. This is my driver's license. I know the picture's terrible, what can I tell you? But on this driver's license, we have our own PMAs, which is a private membership association. We have the NAC code on it and everything else, but this is an international driver's license. We have this done through a international company, and that pretty much concludes my presentation for the moment. So I'm going to open up the floor to any questions that you may have. Hold on a minute and let me get that. up here, and I'll stop sharing the screen.
You are unmuted.
Everybody's unmuted, so mute at
If I
your own
may?
discretion. Go ahead.
Dave in the Thumb. I didn't catch your name or your title.
My name is Tom Gowdy. I hold the office of the Secretary of State for the United States of America.
And how did you get that office or that title?
I was elected.
You were elected?
Mm-hmm.
By whom?
By the people in the assembly.
Oh, in the assembly. And,
Yes.
and where is the assembly?
Wait, I have it. Oh my.
What's the name of your group?
The United States of America.
And when did your assembly? When was your assembly formed?
Well, it was actually formed. Let's see. When did we have our first elections? We had our first elections in 2013.
Go ahead, brother.
So I believe the assembly was going on way before that, though. Probably started in like 2010.
Are the people who started the assembly on this call?
Yes.
So, if I'm not following this, you're the Secretary of State for your assembly?
No, for the United States of America, the government that got reclaimed.
But if all the people weren't involved, I don't understand how that election could have taken place.
Well, there are no people.
What are there?
Well, I don't know if he did.
If I may, you said don't fall into that trap about men and women on the land. Didn't you say that?
I didn't say that. No.
Oh, I thought you were saying. I'm getting an echo back here, but I thought you were saying that. I know you were talking about sovereignty and all that, but I thought you said man and women on the land to avoid that or run away.
Do you want to take that from here, Keith?
Well, is he able to see this presentation? Are you able to see this presentation?
No, I'm not following this on Zoom. I'm legally blind, but I'm following on the phone, so I'm not able to see what you guys are showing on the computer. But you did. I thought you said that.
Yeah, the point he was making was this. Okay, what happens is with particular entities, people in this country believe they're a part of something because that's what they're told. Now, just because they're told something doesn't necessarily mean it's true. Even today, when people go to the municipalities, does anybody know that you could take an oath and affirmation to a municipality within this country and become an inhabitant citizen of that state, and then eventually take an oath to the United States, which is on Manhattan Island? Does anyone know that?
I was not aware of that.
It absolutely exists. And we've actually talked to some of the people that have had it, and they get a dividend check every year. Believe it or not.
From who?
From
who?
From the United States. That's why it says
stands to
From
reason.
the United States of America?
No.
The du jour?
No, dude, no. Just relax, okay? We're gonna get you there. Don't worry. Just relax. Now, what happens?
I'm relaxed.
Okay, as the municipal citizens of the United States and of the municipality, they become state citizens, and then you have citizens of the United States. They're all the same thing. These people get dividend checks every year, right on the 1040 form, It asks you on, I think, 8.8 or 8A or 8B or something like that, 8B. It reads, did you get a dividend check this year? Or did you receive one? And everybody puts in no. Because they never got one. Why? Because they never took an oath and affirmation as a municipal citizen. If you will notice, like the worst case scenario is the one in the city of Center Hill. In the city of Center Hill, they don't even have popular elections there. The municipal citizens elect themselves to office. And they whatever the city makes and whatever it brings in, they get a dividend check. A lot of people don't know that. And that's how the United States operates. If you're thinking United States in your own head, what you have to do is you're thinking the whole country or the states. It's Manhattan Island. Manhattan Island is where it is. That's where the United States is. It has nothing to do with the states of the Union. You haven't had a president of the United States of America since 1789. The one you did have lay dormant since 1789. How do I know that? Go over to the Constitution. Do you see an oath and affirmation to the President, office of the President of the United States of America? No, you only see an oath and office to the President of the United States, which is Manhattan Island. And the jurisdiction of the United States is the District of Columbia. In 1864, the reason why we have this huge mess we've got, in 1864, they changed the definition of a state to include the District of Columbia. When that happened, it opened up the boundaries from the District of Columbia into the rest of the states. And that is when Manhattan Island took over the rest of the country. What is Manhattan Island? Manhattan Island is a Dutch colony. And they are still subject today and under a protection agreement with the Netherlands, the King of the Netherlands. They have their own, that constitution you guys are just really freaking in love with. They have their own constitution and they are citizens of the United States. We're not the only ones that know this. People down south in the southern countries and on this continent, they know this. The only ones that do not know this are US citizens. There are people all over the world that know that Manhattan Island's foreign to the states. They don't even need, people coming from the Netherlands or anywhere else don't even need a passport. They go just hit Manhattan Island and come on through and do their thing and all that. It's a completely different world than what people are here are living. Now we've got a, I'm going to share with you. I can show you. If you don't believe me, I'm going to show you. Okay. Everybody's seen the federal corporation, 28 USC 33002. Everybody's seen that. That the United States means a federal corporation, agency, department, commission, board, or other entity of the United States. I hope we have a crowd that knows that. Okay, it's if we don't, we have to start way back. Okay, we got to start way back to the beginning. Now, here is, now you can do this to in dealing with addresses. Okay. Now, if you go over to the Buckingham Palace address has England in it, has the name of the country. If you go look at the addresses of all the countries at the United Nations, all of them have, and all their parliaments and all their capitals and all that stuff, they all have the country name in their address. Every one of them. Okay, let me know when you guys can see this.
Yes.
Okay, it says, where is the United States Federal Corporation? There it is right there. It's just a building. That is the Bank of New York Mellon. Now, this Bank of New York Mellon was started back in 1784, just after the Treaty of Paris. Now, under the Treaty of Paris, you have, it was a treaty of peace. It wasn't with you guys. The Treaty of Peace was with the Dutch. The Dutch were the ones that funded the Revolutionary War. They owed some money. So they made the prince way back then the arch treasurer of the United States of America. The same Constitution you guys think is there, and you think you're a part of. Now, the Dutch require an oath and affirmation to become a citizen of the United States. They always have. Has anybody here taken one? If you don't have one, then what makes you a part of it? They have to make you believe you're a part of it. And the reason why they have to make you believe you're a part of it is that keeps you in control. The only time you're called a citizen is when they need taxes. Oh, we support the citizens. Now pay us taxes, and then we go away. Then the rest of the time you're treated like crap. Now, the Bank of New York Mellon is a private is the private central bank. It has been since 1784. 1783 was the Treaty of Paris with an entity that didn't exist for another 6 years. That was the United States of America, lowercase t, with an entity that did not exist for the next 6 years. So how can you treaty with a constitution that doesn't exist and it does not exist until 6 years later? It's an impossibility. You can't treaty with a country that doesn't exist. So you've got the, okay, let me give you an example. Everybody knows, does everyone know that France has a king in charge of it? They do have a president, but the king is actually in charge. Who knows that France is a monarch? Or Spain is a monarch? Let's use Spain, for example. Is there any way you can mute that out, Tom? Find out what the hell that is? You're getting feedback. So you go to Spain, right? Okay, thanks. You go to Spain. Spain is a monarch. A lot of people don't know that. Why? Because the monarch puts an administrative government in place and then lets the people vote. Here, you vote for this next president I just picked for you. Here's two of them. I like both of them. There's one on my right hand and one on my left hand. And this is what you're going to do. You're going to vote for either one of these. And they're going to fight back and forth and create this big drama, this WWF drama going on, which is exactly what happened with Hillary and Donald. And we're going to make one evil and one good. Back and forth, back and forth. Kings do this all the time. So they set what they call an administrative government in place. All right, here, let's go back to the picture. What is the United States Federal Corporation? This is it right here. Now, look at their address. Bank of the New York Mellon Corporate Headquarter Office, 1 Wall Street, New York, 10286, United States. That's its address. Go online, go look. It uses United States as their address. Now, note the reference to the United States in the above address. Note that one can write to the President or Vice President of the United States at the White House. And yet the address does not include the United States. Look at that. The White House, 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, Northwest, Washington, D.C., 20500. Where's the United States in there? Go look. It's not there. We mentioned this on the in our newspaper. They went over to right over to Wiki and changed it back. Said, no, we can't do that because that's not the address. The address is Washington, D.C., 20500. That's the address. Can't change it. Okie doke. So the same applies to the Treasury. Look at that. That's not United States, or that's U.S. Treasury right there. That's their address. 1500 Pennsylvania Avenue, Northwest, Washington, D.C., 20500. This is because Washington, D.C. is under the jurisdiction of the United States. It is not the United States. I'll say it again. It's under the jurisdiction of the United States. It is not the United States. The evidence below is a picture of a boundary stone that line the boundaries of the District of Columbia. Here's the boundary stone. It's been there since the beginning. It says jurisdiction of the United States. Over here, it says Maryland. It doesn't say the jurisdiction of Maryland. It just says Maryland on the left. On the right, it says jurisdiction of the United States. What's the United States? Manhattan Island. Why do you think everything comes from Manhattan Island, guys? The people that are charging Hillary are from Manhattan Island. That is the headquarters of every Federal Reserve in every district. The Federal Reserve isn't the bad guy.
Trump Plus is
They're
all
not the bad people at all. Huh? What's that?
so there.
I didn't hear you. What? Stu? Hello?
I think we lost him.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, what's up?
Yeah, there.
I'm not hearing him. I think he keeps getting cut out.
Yeah, he does.
Okay. All right. So since this is a corporate headquarters and they got their charter, they didn't get the charter from us, by the way. They got their charter from the Netherlands. Always keep in mind that England would not be England if it wasn't for the Netherlands. The Netherlands king endorsed the Crown of England. That's why you have the British East India Trading Company, and then you have the East India Trading Company. The East India Trading Company is from was created by the Dutch, and the Dutch created a franchise called the British East India Company. And the British East India Trading Company was the one that everybody was fighting in the Civil War. Oh, okay. He's saying Trump Plaza and UN in United Nations in Manhattan Island also. Okay, that's what he was trying to tell everybody. Yes.
And each one of those East India companies has 13 stripes, as well as the British Jack or the cross, or, well, we have the stars.
Right. So the flag on top of the White House is a company flag. It's owned by the Bank of New York Mellon. Y'all thought it was a country. Come on, man. Really?
It's a brand.
It's a company. It always has been. Okay, and it was run by the Dutch. So that's why they said at the courthouse, because that's a franchise of the United States, because it's just a company and they just got a company franchise in Illinois. So the court looks at it and says, oh, he went back to his country, the United States of America. Okay, he's foreign to the United States. They call it U.S. of America. They just couldn't fit it all in. It's actually the United States of America, 1789.
Right. We're referring to that status hearing that I was talking about in the presentation.
1789. I'm also referring to the 1789 Constitution, the one that you guys think is a federal republic that you're fighting to get back. And Trump is going to come in and I'm the man and I'm going to give you your federal republic and all that BS. He can't make a country out of a corporate headquarters. He can't do it. He's not even president of the United States of America. He's president of the United States, which is on Manhattan Island. He's got good stuff and he's got good reasons. He's a good man. I'm not cutting him down at all. I like the guy. Okay. But I'm just saying that if you really know this kind of stuff, you can pick out the lies in a heartbeat. You know when they're BSing everybody. If you really know who runs the country. So if that be the case, now you've got the cornerstones. Now, if you go right here to the boundarystones.org, okay, you can see the whole thing. This goes all the way around the District of Columbia. That's the jurisdiction of the United States. Now, Manhattan Island is the United States, which started under the Charter of the Patroons and was originally called New Netherlands. Literally speaking, the United States, being a federal corporation, is under the jurisdiction of the Netherlands, and its monarch thereof today. The King of the Netherlands is King Willem Alexander. Corporations are inherently privately owned, of which this particular federal corporation does business as the United States government, and its representatives reside in the District of Columbia. Once you understand that, all this is really easy to figure out. You don't get angry, you don't start challenging, you don't start doing all these things, because it gets really clear on how the country is really set up. And it's completely different than what I learned in high school. It's completely different than what you're told. You guys have a Bill of Rights, you got this, and that. And this is how it all works. You turn 18, you get your first traffic ticket, and you wake up real quick. You wake up to how bad it is and how the king works. Okay, the monarch of the Netherlands is constitutional, and as such, the role and position of the monarch are defined and limited by the Constitution of the Netherlands. Didn't you guys say, and weren't you told, that the Constitution limits the power of the federal government? Let me read that again. The monarchy of the Netherlands is constitutional, and as such, the role and position of the monarch are defined and limited by the Constitution of the Netherlands. Sound familiar? Consequently, a fairly large portion of the Dutch Constitution is devoted to the monarch. Roughly a third of the Constitution describes the succession mechanisms of accession and abdication to the throne, and roles and responsibilities of the monarch, and the formalities of communication between the States General of the Netherlands and the role of the monarch in the creation of laws. That pretty much says everything there. You got an oligarchy in Washington, D.C. Everyone who's ever been a president they're all related to each other. They're all related to George Washington, who was a monarch. And the type of republic that you guys had, and that they said is that the man who became president was he was a monarch, but he gave up his monarchy. He gave up his throne for the nobility of the people. That's a certain type of republic. The republic you guys are talking about is, well, that's run by the people. All the people vote, and everybody, the people are in charge, and what they want, blah 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 blah. That's what you're thinking. That's not the republic they're talking about. The republic they're talking about is George Washington was such a noble man, and he was so humble that he got rid of his throne, renounced his throne, and became president of the people. Lo and behold, the Senate actually voted him in.
Like last night, I was sitting at table 10, and I was sitting over there with Pastor
Can you handle that?
And she told him to with me. I know so well she would have heard her man.
Thank you. Okay, the 50-star flag belongs to the United States, which is a federal corporation, which means it is a company flag. So raise that flag, folks, and salute it. You're saluting the King of the Netherlands. Just what you thought you were doing is completely opposite. In order to be a citizen of the United States, the following process must be completed. Otherwise, the individual is only showing an intent to become a citizen of the United States and not a citizen of the United States, also known as U.S. citizen, which is an arbitrary term. Now, keep in mind, guys, that the 14th Amendment kind of rammed things down everybody's throat. The 14th Amendment says if you're born within the jurisdiction of the United States, okay, that's a very broad term. Jurisdiction also means territory. Doesn't necessarily mean it's the country. It could be the territory of the United States. Just because the United States claims it as a territory doesn't mean that the territory is the United States. It just means that you're within its territory that it claims under military rule, which brings us over to the Lieber Code. Okay, in summary, the conditions of United States citizenship are: the candidate must declare 2 years in advance before the proper court the intention to become a citizen of the United States. Okay, we have people like that's already done that. They keep it extremely quiet. Lanny, our ambassador, actually talked to the one man face to face. He was a county commissioner, and he did come out and say, yeah, I get it every year. I get dividend check and all that stuff. I took the oath to become a municipal corporation or a municipal citizen, and then you go to state that makes you a state citizen, and then you become a citizen of the United States later on. Okay, the candidate must declare an oath of allegiance to support the Constitution of the United States before court, possessing authority to hear the declaration and renounce any allegiance that exists between the candidate and any other sovereignty, such proceedings being recorded by the clerk of the court. The court of record has determined the candidate has resided within the United States 5 years and within the state or territory where the said court is located for at least 1 year. Notice it says within the state or territory. So all the courts that you have today are in a territory that the United States is claiming, that they claimed through the Civil War. The Civil War was a takeover of the monarchs across the pond of this country. Had nothing to do with slavery, had nothing to do between North and South. North and South were being used against each other. Actually, the South was who won the revolution. I'm sorry, the Civil War for the North. That's a little twist, old terms. We got that on. We have a show for the T-Row show. If you go to there, we have that on, and to show people exactly where it happened and what happened there. Okay, so they have to be a candidate of good and moral character. All right, birthright citizenship. Birthright citizenship exclusively exists within the United States, meaning Manhattan Island or the District of Columbia. Although birthright citizenship is also considered within the states of the Union, by many it simply does not exist. As outlined here and discussed thoroughly within 576 Federal Reporter, blah, 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 blah. Yet a voluntary declaration of allegiance put forth by an enterprising individual is still not sufficient to conclude the matter. It is the prerogative of the United States to put forth conditions it deems appropriate for naturalization, and then it goes on and on. You can read that. All right, we've got this document everywhere. Confusion of many Americans within the states of the Union. Many are confused about the Federal Republic being under the Constitution for the United States of America, and the confusion is represented in the following quote. Here's the administrative jurisdiction. This is King William's administrative government. Just keep that in mind. That's his government, not yours. You're trying to take it from him, and it's actually, you guys are violating international law by doing that. That's his government. Belongs to him. As defined by law, the activity of governmental administrative agencies and their officials is solving individual administrative cases and applying the corresponding legal sanctions by administrative procedure. The jurisdiction of the governmental administrative agencies in the USSR and other socialist countries is based on the strict observance of the principle of legality and clearly regulated by the appropriate legal acts. For instance, the April 12, 1968 Edict of the Presidium of the Supreme Soviet of the USSR on the procedure for hearing citizens' requests, petitions, and complaints. Several agencies of the USSR governmental administration and their officials exercise administrative jurisdiction within certain limits set by law. For instance, the chief of local militia office can be imposed a fine for the commission of an administrative offense, a minor offense, which manifests itself in petty hooliganism. In the USSR, according to the law, people's judges, administrative commissions for case of minors, and several other agencies have been invested with the powers of administrative jurisdiction. Now, you're probably going to say, well, let's talk about the USSR. What does that have to do with us? Okay. Governmental administrative agencies. How many government agencies you guys have over here? And how often are they called officials? Under administrative jurisdiction. It's clearly the amendment is addressing the few. Okay, now turning briefly to the 14th Amendment. It is clearly the amendment is addressing the few, those specifically born or naturalized within the United States and its territories, not the masses of people from across the continent within the states of the Union of the United States of America or other nations. Further note the phrase subject to the jurisdiction thereof. This phrase acknowledges jurisdiction can change as one can be born in the United States, but upon age take an oath of allegiance to another nation, thereby nullifying any previous United States jurisdiction. The United States is claiming as citizens all persons born or successfully naturalized in the United States or under its jurisdiction. This fits accurately with what we thus examine. The amendment further states that no state shall make laws that abridge the undermine the privileges and immunities of citizens of the United States. Why did they make that distinction? Against the states. Right here, if they weren't foreign to each other. and the United States should claim it as a territory. Those same U.S. states cannot deprive the citizen of the United States of life, liberty, property, or equal protection of the law without due process, as opposed to the states of the Union of the United States of America, of which are foreign to the citizens of the United States and bound by the law of nations. That's why they have the Alien Tort Claim Act. That's why the United States did that. They knew the people within the states were going to come after them. You can only come after them under a treaty or a violation of the law of nations under the Alien Tort Claim Act. Why would they do that? As for non-citizen, non-resident aliens to the United States of America and to the United States, those that are born outside the United States and its territories, and those that have not sufficiently naturalized, lacking an oath heard by a proper court, the amendment offers nothing but silence. This is not a surprise, as the amendment was not written to address non-citizen, non-resident aliens to the United States of America. Indeed, the entire Constitution of the United States is written for citizens of the United States, not non-citizen, non-resident aliens to the United States of America. Thus, we, the people, most accurately understood to be we, the citizens of the United States, law of nations. Alien Tort Statute, often called the Alien Tort Claims Act, a section of the United States Code that addresses civil actions brought by an alien. It reads, the district courts shall have original jurisdiction of any civil action by an alien for tort only, committed in violation of what? The United States, the law of nations, or a treaty of the United States. The states of the Union are under the law of nations, guys. They always have been. They have been since the Articles of Confederation. And before that. That's what caused the revolution, was the law of nations. When it was written in 1767. I think it was 1767.
No, it was 1754, I thought.
Okay, I'll just meet you halfway. All right.
Okay.
It's around that time. All right. For the purpose of the note the phrase "in violation of the law of nations." Law of Nations, written by Emmerich de Vital. Oh, that's right. Was published in 1758. I should have read that further. It modernized the theory of the practice of international law. It came to us in good reason when the circumstances of rising state make it necessary to frequently consult the law of nations. That brought it into Benjamin Franklin, which, by the way, Lanny Talbot, our ambassador, is a direct descendant of Benjamin Franklin. For centuries after his death, it was discovered that the U.S. President George Washington had a number of overdue library books dating back over 221 years. One of them was the Law of Nations, as reported by the Washington Post. I've read the Law of Nations. After page 287, it starts becoming redundant. It's 467 pages so far. Some of them will say 1,200 pages. It depends on how the PDF is written. The very first sentence in the Law of Nations, it reads, nations or states or bodies, politics, societies of men, united together for the purpose of promoting their mutual safety and advantage by joint efforts of their combined strength. The only way to do this, folks, is through an oath or affirmation. That's what they call united together for the purpose. Okay, united for their mutual safety and combined strength. That's what we're here to do. We know that every American national that takes an oath and affirmation, we all have the same thing. We're all combined together. We all work together. We all know that. Anybody that doesn't have one, how can we trust them? They're not even a part of the deal. If they're not a part of the deal and they've never took an oath and affirmation, they have no say or standing. Period. If you haven't taken an oath to the Constitution and the Bill of Rights that you guys are trying to get back, which you thought was yours, what actually started out with the Netherlands and still remains with the Netherlands today, and you don't have an oath and affirmation to it, that's an international crime. You can't go after something you were never a part of. You never put your hand on there. You never put your hand on the scriptures and said, I do solemnly swear or affirm. It wasn't your deal. So you're recognized as, and this is why it's in the IRS forms, resident aliens. That's why when you try to take the Constitution into their court, they freaking throw your ass out. Get that Constitution the hell out of here, because they're saying you're not even a part of it. So don't bring that crap in. We take care of aliens the way we take care of aliens. Are you a resident? Yes. Okay. You got your driver's license, birth certificate, and all that stuff. So you're a resident. So this is all of our statutes are written for residents. Have you noticed? There's no statutes really written for citizens. They're all written for residents. All residents must have a driver's license. Blah, 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 blah. And the only form of identification that you have is a birth certificate, which cannot be used as an ID, and a driver's license or a passport. That's it. You don't have your last will and testaments. You don't have your bloodlines. You have no idea who your great-great-great-great-grandfather was. All that's gone. You don't even have your last will and testaments. Where's your family? Where'd you come from? Who are you? That's the whole point. That's what we do here. We make sure that you, we try to encourage, a lot of people are pretty lazy about it. We encourage doing your bloodlines and getting your family trees and figuring out who you are, where you came from.
Yeah, this is an important concept here. This the hereditary line, you know, because I dabble in my family tree research, and I can go back to like one line. I can go back to the 1600s, but you know, everybody in Europe can go back to, you know, the 1112s, 1200s. You know, they've taken your identity. That's what some of these wars were all about: record burning, confiscation of records, and burning them up.
Civil War was big time. They did a lot of burning there. Keep in mind, folks, that on the what Tom was talking about when he was talking about the Postmaster General, when they created that new timeline, which was in 1789, that cut everybody off from the Declaration of Independence and the Articles of Confederation. That particular Constitution can't claim the Declaration of Independence in any way, shape, or form. It can't claim that original General Post Office, and the Articles of Confederation cannot recognize it, because our political party had a convention and fulfilled what was supposed to be done back then, which was to amend the Articles of Confederation, not replace it with a completely separate document. Even if it was supposed to be done, or it was done. Now, I wouldn't say a word, and I wouldn't have any issue with this whatsoever, and I would have no argument if it would have been done this way. If they would have came back together, okay, all of them came and they said, we're going to have a constitutional convention in Philadelphia. Great, wonderful. All right, Articles of Confederation sucks. By the way, it did, okay? The original one did suck. The way it was written, I think they were all stoned when they wrote it. But what they did was, if they would have came back and did this, all right, all 74 delegates said, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to make all these amendments to this and expand it here and expand it there. And we're going to do this through our political parties. So all our political parties come together in a convention and the whole deal. We don't call it a grand convention, by the way. We just call it a freaking political convention. Doesn't have to say grand convention on there. All right, that's Masons. That's what they do. It's a private society. They can keep their butt out of freaking political deals. But if they would all came together, wrote those amendments, went over each one of these articles and said, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to expand this article here, and we're going to expand this article there, and we're going to do all this, and we're going to reconvene under the Articles of Confederation and then vote in these amendments, you would have had a legal government. Legal meaning dealing with entities, and legal meaning international law and the law of nations. You would have had a legal government there. There would have been no issues with that whatsoever. And if they would have went back and fixed the Declaration of Independence and said, okay, here right in the title, we've got the 13 United States of America. And then here over here, we put the United States of America and kept the lowercase u. And then 3 years later, they change it to the style of this Confederacy shall be the United States of America. After the Revolutionary War, if they would have fixed that and said, okay, the 13 United States of America should read as amended to the United States of America, as amended to the United States of America. Now you got your chain of title. So the people that are claiming the United States of America, lowercase t, lowercase u. You don't have a constitution, guys. There was no constitution written there. It doesn't exist. It has nothing to do with 1789.
Perhaps we should cover chain of title quickly.
Go ahead. You got it?
Chain of title. It works for international docs. It works for governing docs. It's basically the same way. Think of it as for those that have bought in houses, homes in the past, or cars. It works similar. You know, your title transfers from one individual to another. In the case of a house, a person, usually a title attorney, is hired to research the chain of title. That is, to make sure that each successive transfer of that property was done correctly, so that the bank, when they foreclose on you, has valid claim. That's the point of it. Okay, so chain of title is not something that's introduced to the American society, members of the American society, but it in fact is a critical component to what we're talking about here. Okay, these documents have to tie together. You have to act under authority of particular documents in order to accomplish things. Otherwise, it has no standing. Does that kind of clarify? Hopefully, that kind of clarifies it for those that aren't familiar with it.
Here's another one. We the people, lowercase, upper and lowercase p. Now we're talking about a particular people of the United States. That's that right there, okay? They establish and ordain, they do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. I'm sorry. When in the hell did the people of the United States have the authority to establish a Constitution for the United States of America? For 13 states. What happened to the people in those 13 states that won their independence, that they sat there and watched their children die over this? What happened to them? How come a couple of jerk-offs come in and say, we the people of the United States, we're going to establish a Constitution for the United States of America? You have no business doing that. This is what chain of title does for you. If you put we the people of the United States of America in order to form a more perfect union, blah, 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 do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America, now you've got chain of title. Because both of these entities are the same. Right here and right here. So it should have read this. Copy. Here. Paste. We the people of the United States of America. And then it said Constitution for the United States of America. Now you've got the people within the 13 colonies, which were 13 states, voting for this to come in. They didn't do that. They never had a vote. They just said 2 years later, it's done. They didn't have a vote in states on whether a constitution was to come in or not. Why? Because these formidable Dutch were coming in as we, the people of the United States, we're going to say, you're going to do what we tell you to do. Why? Because our king said it. Same crap that they did before. When did the people obtain the power of attorney to ordain and establish a constitution for the United States of America, and more accurately, the United States of America? This entity right here, the name of the frickin' country. They didn't. And further change its form of government and the name of the country itself. On further evidence, Article 2, section of the Constitution of the United States, it reads, before he enter in the execution of his office, he shall take the following oath or affirmation. Here it is right here. President of the United States, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States. All right, wherein an oath or affirmation is never taken for the United States of America. Yet each executive order reads, by the authority vested in me as president by the Constitution and laws of the United States of America. How in the hell did he get that when he doesn't even have an oath of office to it? Or oath of office to this entity right here. The President of the United States is not the President of the United States of America, because the oath of office will be required to hold the office of the President for the United States of America, and no letter of acceptance acknowledgement of office exists for either entity. He takes an oath of office to the United States, President of the United States. He doesn't ever publish a letter of acceptance and acknowledgement of office. You have to do that. That's after your oath. You take your oath, you write a letter of acceptance and acknowledgement, and you sign it. I hereby accept this and acknowledge this, this blah, 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 blah.
I've got that. And I know Stu does.
I've got that one too. And they all have to have that. The President of the United States is not the President of the United States of America. Okay, the U.S. state is different from the State of the Union. Okay, the states of the Union were established and remain under the Articles of Confederation of 1781, as amended August 5th, 2015. This guy was saying, what people, who people? All the people that took an oath and affirmation to it. If you don't have an oath and affirmation to it, you didn't have the authority to vote anyways. And suffered an overlay survey by U.S. states, meaning Manhattan Island, and on behalf of the foreign monarch of the Netherlands. It began to usurp the powers and authority of the United States of America, comprised of the original states of the Union. Manhattan Island also attempted to steal the original jurisdiction of the United States of America by arbitrarily claiming the original General Post Office of the Confederacy of the United States of America of 1781, started in 1775. And there it is right there. What Tom was showing you. Yet those people that believe that the U.S. states overlay tenders privileges and immunities and somehow restricts the power of the federal republic, when in fact it renders those people resident aliens that have only shown an intent to become a citizen of the United States, yet never completed the naturalization process to become a citizen subject of a foreign monarch. An overlay survey will not null and void, does not null and void the fact that the United States of America is foreign to the United States and the United States of America. The term United States of America exclusively applies to U.S. states under an illegal union and definition. The federal corporation belongs exclusively to a foreign monarch. The United States never held any municipal sovereignty, jurisdiction, or right of soil in Alabama or any of the new states which were formed. You want to hear that again? This is Pollard versus Hagen. The United States never held any municipal sovereignty, jurisdiction, or right of soil in Alabama or any new states which were formed. The United States has no constitutional capacity to exercise municipal jurisdiction, sovereignty, or eminent domain within the limits of a state or elsewhere, except in the cases of which it is expressly granted. Why? Because the United States is Manhattan Island under a foreign monarch. The defendants have incorrectly stated a well-established principle of the law that the government of the United States is foreign as to the states of the Union within the rule of private international law, that the penal statutes of one sovereignty will not be enforced by another. That's Salonon versus Farley, 1949. Everyone knows it. That's why I said the only ones that don't know it are the people here. Everyone else knows this. This is nothing new. It's in their schools. It is universally recognized that foreign jurisdictions will not enforce penal statutes of another state. The courts of no country execute the penal laws of another. Okay, that's why the United States of America is considered foreign. I'm going to show you guys something. It's going to blow your mind. Where did it go? Where did it
Minds have already been blown.
Huh?
He said, I think some minds have already been blown.
It gets awful quiet, don't it? Okay, this is one of the first times that we're going to actually say something here. Okay, and show people something that they've never seen before. Here we go. This is the state of Florida. This is a notice of sale. This is for a motor vehicle, mobile home, off-highway, and vessel description. It's 1978 Ford. This is John Harold Folks, right here. Okay. Marking title sold on behalf of Michael Sean Folks. Shipped out of country before me was John Harold Folks. Shipped out of country.
John Folks is an American national.
He's American national. I'm going to stop this share, and then you're going to go, well, how the hell did you guys do that? All right. We're going to show you how we did it. Okay. start this up again. How we did it was automobile chain of title and certificate of transfer. Guess what, folks? This is our Form 101, and this is our seal. What we do is we register the vehicles within the United States of America in this government here. Then we take this down there, which is our document, by the way. It's registered with us under RR1 number 24 under the Global Postal Code and that code right there. Okay, and then we get an acknowledgement from our registrar that it's been registered. They have you fill out an affidavit, and they said, I want title kept by DHS MV and destroyed. I further understand if I decide to reestablish Florida title, in Florida, I am subject to full duplicate title fees. So they didn't say the state of Florida, did they? They just said Florida. Florida is a U.S. state. It's a state within a state. The real Florida is called the state of Florida. If you just say Florida, that's a completely separate state. Entities are everything in international law. Everything. Now, here we go. Whoops, here we go again. Marking title sold per John Harrell, folks, as of today, 12/28/2016. This was just done just a little while ago. Vehicle is being shipped out of the country. Before me is the owner of John Harrell, folks, right there. And vehicle is being shipped out of the country. As why? Because the United States of America and the states of the Union are foreign to Manhattan Island and the District of Columbia.
That looks good every time I see it.
Yep.
Oh, it's wonderful, man. That took 3 years, man. That took a long time to get done because it took a long time for them to be educated that the people within that DMV were actually foreign to their own state. They had to recognize that. And that these zip codes, okay, these zip codes are under the UPU, which is under the United Nations, Universal Postal Union, which was signed in 1874. So this is what we're telling you. And we can go on and on with that if we wanted to. Okay.
Before you jump in, let me, perhaps some of the people on the call might have been exposed to a post that was pretty popular, probably, it's probably been like 3 or 4 months now, but we established out of a court case in Minnesota, we established that the bar had recognized the government of the United States of America and acknowledged that they had no jurisdiction. What we were able to do was we were able to get the public docket, and then someone went into the court and was able to get their hands on the internal docket, and they said 2 different things. And the internal one, of course, is what I just mentioned, that they acknowledged the government of the United States of America and also acknowledged jurisdiction none.
Yeah, the state had no jurisdiction. The Civil War in 1861 to 1865 of the United States was about expanding the jurisdiction of the United States under an illegal union and definition of a state. The Civil War was about expanding a foreign monarch's reach into the United States of America, the original country. However, the establishment of U.S. states is illegal under the law of nations, as a state cannot be formed within a state. The original states of the Union do in fact still exist. These original states were dormant as they did not have a permanent population until 2010. You think we're lying? Okie dokie. If the U.S. states were legal, a civil war would not have been necessary to cover an illegal activity. In 1864, before the conclusion of the war, the definition of a state was altered by statute. Here it is. It is further be enacted that whatever the word state is used in this act, it shall be construed to include the territories and the District of Columbia, where such construction is necessary to carry out the provision of this act. Why would they put in territories and state at the same time? Unless the United States, Manhattan Island, under the Treaty of Versailles, by the way, and with the monarchs trying to expand in here and take over again, making your butt subject. And here we have a dormant country, the United States of America, under the original Articles of Confederation. People found it, we claimed it, and waited 90 days, did the thing in the newspaper, the whole deal. Even sent it off to the Bureau on Private International Law at The Hague. We made all the notices, which goes all around the world. Nobody complained. So we said, okay, we're going to go ahead and finish this up. We're going to take what they were going to do before, which was amend the Articles of Confederation and amend it like they said they were going to. Okay? This definition is evidence of the violation referenced earlier in creating the U.S. states within the states of the Union under the United States of America. President Abraham Lincoln had declared the seceding illegal. South Carolina did not have the legal right to secede from the original Union of 1781 under the name United States of America. Here's what they did, and this is word for word. You can see this. I just typed it out. He said it was all illegal. Now, why would the southern states, rebel states, need to create a brand new constitutions if the doctrine of an illegal act is no act at all? So here they say that that South Carolina was seceding from the Union, okay, and then turn around, call it illegal. Then after the war, they said, you guys got to come up with a brand new constitution. Why not just go back to the original constitution they had? Why do you have to start a brand new one? You didn't. This is why, if you're going to have a country and you're going to do this, you have to know the law of nations. You've got to know international law. You've got to know international protocols and all these things, because you guys are fighting a foreign monarch and you don't know it. You think you're fighting a local judge. You're not. You're fighting a foreign monarch, which is King Willem of the Netherlands.
And we don't recommend you do it alone.
Yeah.
Right.
And his family's been defending it for a long time. They're pretty good.
The District of Columbia is not a state or a state of the Union, and therefore cannot be considered to be included in the definition of a state or state. The fact that the city of Washington, D.C. is an independent city-state, its flag is represented the three city-state empire of the city of Washington, D.C., city of London, and city of Vatican, or Vatican City. The city of London is not to be confused with London, England, and the city of Washington, D.C. is not to be confused with the District of Columbia or the United States. And there's their 3 stars. Boom, boom, boom. A lot of people know that. Having a resident alien status is not all bad, because those resident aliens still have the choice of whether or not they want to claim to be a citizen of the United States or claim a nationality within the United States of America. Many of the people like to affiliate United States nationality with American national within the states of the Union or the government of the United States of America. For with United States nationality, one has to claim to be a municipal citizen, inhabitant, then a U.S. state citizen, and then a citizen of the United States, which tenders United States nationality under oath or affirmation as opposed to. And this is what we do. American nationals claim nationality through the United States of America as established by the Articles of Confederation of August 5th, 2015. The current government thereof and those claimants are also placed in one of the original states of the Union with non-citizen, non-resident alien to the United States of America, no longer subject to the monarch. No longer subject to the monarch. It is up to those American nationals and residents of the original states of the Union to form an assembly to start the process of being recognized and qualified as an independent state under the law of nations. Guys, the law of nations is the constitution of the states of the Union, where parts of the law of nations was placed in an Articles of Confederation. The Articles of Confederation, folks, is a part of the law of nations. But the law of nations itself, the Constitution of the United States of America, is the law of nations that binds each independent state of the Union into a league of friendship. The current Articles of Confederation, as amended August 5th, 2015, are the articles that uphold the law of nations in all of its forms. If you guys are thinking the Constitution of the United States is the law of the land, no. The law of nations is the law of the land.
It looks like we have a question, Keith.
All right.
Hartford Van Dyke is trying to ask a question, but I'm not sure where he is. So, hold on a minute. Is he on a phone?
Okay, it says these docs available online. Absolutely. Yeah, they're available on reignoftheheavens.com. You go there and you're going to find all kinds of things. We have these documents everywhere. We publish everything we do. We have to as a government.
I'll post a link up to a few of them.
Is Hartford Van Dyke on a phone or on a computer? Can you type that in, please?
This is DW.
Ooh. Hartford is on a phone. What's the phone number so I can unmute it? Just give me the first three, I guess.
The national flag that we put together, and then our national anthem is "America the Beautiful." We did take that, which I like a lot better than the Stars and Stripes thing crap they had. Talk about killing and maiming and shit.
All right. Well, I can unmute everybody, but it's going to cause chaos. What we need to do is have people mute out themselves. And then we don't have all the confusion unless they're asking a question.
Yeah, well, the people online can raise hands.
That's what I was just saying, yeah. All right. I'll tell you what, I'll mute everybody else, but we got to keep like quiet here so people can hear each other. I don't know which phone line that the other person is on that wants to be asking a question, but I'm gonna unmute everybody, but you're gonna have to like adhere to like quietness so we can hear everything, okay?
Hey, if I may, this is Dave in the Thumb. Hartford Van Dyke is trying to get through to talk to you guys. He wants to speak.
Is it for his mom?
All right, well, go ahead.
Hartford, are you back on? He was cut off a couple times, and I don't know if he called back in yet. Hartford, are you on? Is there any way you could put it in Q&A so everybody can be muted except for the questioner?
I'm not sure how to do that. Good question.
Love muffin.
Yeah, because I just got muted, but I unmuted myself, but I still hear all that background noise.
Yeah, me too. I'm not. See, the problem is I was trying to get everybody to try and mute themselves.
570.
If I may, DW, point of order.
Can we mute out again?
You want me to everybody out?
Yeah, okay, it stopped. Go ahead.
You got that, Dimitri?
No, I think it was 570. Or but go ahead, continue with the show.
All right, let me make one quick statement. If we can be respectful and keep the lines muted if you're not talking, they will announce Q&A, and when they do, you can unmute yourself by pushing ***. The reason why you were dropped from the boards because I dropped you myself because there's too many disturbance and interruptions. I yield. Thank you.
All right, Keith, do you want to start the Q&A or do you want to keep continuing what you got?
No, I was fine. They can do a Q&A now. I'll be back in a minute. I have to go. I'll be back in a minute.
Okay.
Tom, this is Bryan from Tactical Sovereignty. Are you there?
Yeah, Bryan, what's up?
I think one of the things that a lot of people have totally missed that they've been tricked into, whether it's through the driver's license or the Social Security card, was they got tricked into the PMA, which you briefly mentioned, the Private Membership Association. And that is actually the same thing that can get them into the correct position, is joining a private membership association that's separate from the one that they don't even know they're in already. If you could cover a little bit of that. I don't know how much info you have on it.
Well, the PMA, we have established our names into a PMA. If you noticed on my ID, let me go back to a screen share on that again, okay? I'll show you that again. Hold on a second. What we did was we took our capital letter names and we put them into a PMA. And then that way we figured we could, practice private law, because no court can decide on a case when it's private contract, obviously. All right, so I've got my ID here. Once again, excuse the picture. Anyway, as you can see, it's made out to the PMA. Not just the capital letter name, it's actually a PMA. We wrapped up everything into a PMA, which has its own articles of association. Where am I getting all that from? Do we take that? Do we get that taken care of?
Yep, sounds better.
I don't know where that's coming from. It sounds like a TV. That definitely sounds like a TV. Anyway,
yeah,
what we did
might need to mute everybody out.
Yeah, it's hard because it'd be much easier if people could like raise their hands or something, so we could just do one at a time. But it gets overwhelming when you have too many people on board. They don't know how to mute out or anything. Anyway, what we did was we took our capital names and we made them into a PMA so that we could operate in commerce, because that's the only way you can operate in commerce is using that person. Make sense?
Oh, yes, absolutely. And that's the way everybody is operating in commerce right now, is under a PMA, but it's under a PMA that was established by a de facto regime.
Right. Right. So what we did was we moved ours over here.
Right.
And then you become.
And that's one of the things I really want people to comprehend. That's about capacity. And capacity is, what hat are you wearing? Are you wearing the hat of the person that was created by this de facto regime? Or are you going to go back to your own natural person?
Right. Everyone, especially in the Western civilization, is going to have a person, whether you like it or not. It's just the way it is. Okay. And so what we're doing is we're taking that person and we're operating it the way we want. It's if it goes over to another government, we put it, the person in the newspaper can operate as a private membership, an LLC. It can operate as a corporation. It can operate as anything you want it to operate as. Okay, especially when you're doing business and you're dealing with foreigners or you're dealing with anything like that. So you're able to do that. It's not a problem. You're basically taking control of your person. And I know that sounds messed up to a lot of people. Well, I'm not that person. We all know you're natural. We all know who you are. We all know you're a living being. We all know that. Okay, that belongs in in international law. Please understand what I'm saying. In international law, those beliefs belong in your own home or in a temple of where you guys do your thing. That's a separate. That's a religious belief. That's a belief, and they'll go. It has to be formalized in order for it to be recognized. A lot of people go into courts. I'm a living being, and they're all going, "Yeah, we know that." I'm not that person. Think about it, guys. Everyone has a person. And then they turn right around within a minute and say, well, the Fifth Amendment says, and the First Amendment says, well, that deals with your person. They do it every single time. Well, I've got constitutional rights. Well, no, your person has constitutional rights if it's found within that jurisdiction. So stop fighting the whole person thing. And we said, look, it's not going to go anywhere. We're getting some feedback, by the way. Someone is on Skype. We stopped fighting it, and we just changed its character and changed its jurisdiction and changed its address. And when we did that, everyone in the states and all that started recognizing what we were doing. We just put up customs. I don't know. I haven't told, I was going to talk to Stu today. We just put up a customs thing on GPEX. Go over to generalpostexchange.com. You'll see a pop-up. If you want to work in our markets in the United States of America and the states of the Union, then you have to go through customs. That was done last night by the committee. So now what we got to do, there's a couple of things that we have to do. What we have left is we've got the cars recognized, and we've got the registrar recognized, okay, within the states of the Union or within the U.S. states. So they're recognizing us going up and saying, hey, I just registered my vehicle with the government of the United States of America, and they'll put it in ship out of country. We've got that. The last thing we need to do is the money. Once we get the legal tender for debts, public and private, recognized and by Willems companies, okay, King Willems companies. Once we have that, then we're talking about debt-free, interest-free currency, money coming from a country and its government, national government, and the whole thing. Everything that everybody's been wanting to do with the United States will be done here. We got one more move, and that's it. We've been working on this for almost 7 years. One more freaking move. That's it, man. And we've got it. We already had the stamps recognized. We've got the cars in our DOT recognized, our Department of Transportation. And now we got to move towards the money. And we've been working on it for.
Hey, I wanted to. Sorry, you had showed the money, and I wanted you to share information with the people that haven't you gotten the original bank for the United States of America recognized congressionally?
Yes, that's how it actually came about. How all this started was by accident. That's how it started.
Wow.
It just fell in our laps. In other words, I didn't set out to do this when I first started this. So what I did is I was looking at property taxes, and I said, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. What I've been doing seminars with is not really working that well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go this land patent route, and I started looking at all these land patents, and I started thinking these land patents are not done right. They're landlocked. They're not mentioning meets and bounds, and they're not mentioning 12 miles past the baseline offshore. None of that was in there. So I said, this is what I'm going to do. I did 3 weeks. It was about 8 to 10 hours a day. I went 3 weeks. I went back and forth. I lived in Kentucky at the time. I was back and forth to the archives. And believe it or not, Kentucky was horrible when it came to land patents. It's just unbelievable. It took a guy 12 years to even attempt to fix their land patents. It's that big of a mess. And I ended up taking the meets and bounds of the property on the inside, and then I moved the meets and bounds to the outside. I started mentioning that it was within that, and then within the judicial districts, and then within the county, okay, then within the state, then within the United States of America, which was 1781, the United States of America, and then 12 miles past the baseline. I put that in the paper. It was 3 months later, I get a phone call from a guy who was running redemption by method at the time. And he was in contract with the Vatican and the Crown. I didn't know about the 3-city-state empire at the time. I didn't know what he was talking about or who this guy was. They started running me through a claim process to get my black card. And one of the parts of the process was I started claiming the original General Post Office. I claimed that. And then the Articles of Confederation and the whole deal there. And then I started, I was run through, and I ended up calling the Hall of Justice, or Freedom Hall. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's incorrect, because the Gutenberg Bible was in Freedom Hall. What they wanted me to do was call the Library of Congress and get all the numbers that were associated with the Gutenberg Bible. I said, okay. So I called around 11 o'clock, and they said, well, everybody's out to lunch. We'll be back, blah, blah, blah. I said, all right, I'll just wait. So he calls back and says, Keith, call this number. I said, all right. So I put the number down. He said, call around 1 o'clock. I said, all right, I'll call around 1 o'clock. So I called, and I got an answer. And I said, yes. I said, is this the Library of Congress? They said, yes. I said, all right, I need all the numbers associated with the Incun, or with the Gutenberg Bible, which was Incun 1454.b5. Incunubulus, which means anew, okay, to start anew. 1454 was the year when the Gutenberg Bible was written. And I didn't really fully understand why I was doing this at the time. But the guy on the call, he says, who is this? I said, this is Keith. I said, I'm with the General Post Office, because I claimed the General Post Office about a month earlier. And he said, okay. He says, I said, why'd you ask? He says, well, nobody's ever called this number before. I said, what do you mean? He says, this phone has been here for 4 years and no one's ever called the number. I said, really? He says, yeah. He said, how did you get this number? I said, well, crazy things happen. I didn't have an answer for him, so I said that. So I ended up asking how I got that number, and it was actually from the Secretary of the House of Representatives that gave that number to the guy that was running Redemption by Method, who gave the number to me. So now the number was claimed. Now, what is Incun 1454.b5? We get all these people saying, well, your currency isn't backed by gold and all this crap, right? Okay, well, it's backed by a whole lot more than that. Because in the Gutenberg Bible, in Genesis 1, that's creation itself. The Continental Dollar is backed by creation itself. Everything in the world. The same as every other country in this world. They're all backed by the Incun 1454.b5. And that's what your global account is. You don't get it? So
yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
That's what it's all about. And I didn't say anything in the newspaper. I just let people trash whatever they wanted to trash and do what they wanted to do. Because I thought that maybe that story was too much to talk about in the newspaper. And that literally happened. I would have not known about 1454.b5. I didn't make any of that up. That actually happened. Then we were supposed to go to Vegas to get the black card and all that. We had the account open, and then someone jumped in and closed everything down and made me look like a total idiot. Ruined my reputation. And I think that was the plan in the first place. We got to get rid of this guy because he claimed meets and bounds of the original the United States of America. I did not know at the time, guys, about Manhattan Island. I didn't know about the United States. I didn't know about any of that. Anything, all that you saw today, I didn't know any of it at the time. And this was in March of 2010. 3 months, 2009, it was around Christmas time, I guess, December, November, of when I did the patent. And that freaked them out. I didn't expect it. So that's the story behind it. That's what Tom was talking about when he said, well, there's a guy just, kind of messing around. I don't know what he said in the beginning. He just went over. He just brushed over that.
I said I'd talk about it later.
But that is the story. And then on the General Post Office, it was like 3 years later that we figured out about the Postmaster General and Ebenezer Hazard, and the fact that they had Ebenezer Hazard died with no successor in 1817, and he also left a very large insurance company behind. That's in Philadelphia. I can't remember the name of it. Don't ask me. I can't remember the name of it.
Would it be Hazard Insurance?
Oh, it could be. From Ebenezer Hazard's family? Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because I found you guys, and because the things you were saying were the way I had researched. I'd bounced around a lot. I had hit on the original actual post office, not the USPS, and how you can use it with no problem. And so much of the little details you guys were talking about were things that I had found out already. I don't know if anybody's looking at the board. Harper Van Dyke's last 4 digits of his phone number are 3039, if he's on there. I know he's got a lot of information about banking as well. But, I really appreciate the time you guys have given and put into this, and you guys coming on this call this evening. To me, it's just incredible information that is directly in line with everything that people haven't been taught. It's been there. People could have researched it, but it hasn't been afforded to people. And I really appreciate you guys bringing this out for everyone.
Well, that's refreshing, because we usually get, who y'all think you are? You suck. We get that a lot.
I put in the chat, just to draw people's attention to it. I put in the chat several links.
You guys are full of fraud.
Those, they're all PDF docs from the government. So it makes good reading if you care to take the next step and read up on, flesh out a little bit more some of the concepts that we've put forth today.
Yeah.
Well, I've shared as much as I can that I found from you guys into Tactical Sovereignty, the Facebook group, and the couple groups that you guys have on Facebook as well. And I want you guys to feel free to send me stuff if you want, and I'll be happy to put it in there and put it in our files, because I think this is the direction that people really need to be heading in. Everybody's trying to fight a fight that they don't realize that it's impossible to win. There's only really one way to get out and take care of the problem. And you guys have, I believe, shown the way.
That's a great way to put it.
We look at it this way, okay? The same way it was in the scriptures. The same thing that the Israelites had a problem with, okay? Which was, you guys need to go take that land. And then they go, well, what's there? They go, well, once you take it, you're there. If you're not within your original republics, which all the states are, original republics, then there's nobody there. There's no value to them. There's no permanent population. The value that's there is you. And we try to get that across to people over and over. If you're not there, there's nothing there. So we got in there, went into the original states, and there was nothing there except for us. That's all we had. So we've just been slowly working. We're, got skeleton type crews. It's big. I mean, we have plenty of residents, and I counted. I mean, some today, man. We got more than I thought. Okay, as far as American nationals and all that, and general postmasters, but you need more people to participate in their own country.
Well, you know what? That's one of the things that a guest we had on, I believe last week or week before, brought up. He had talked to different officials, and they told him, they said, listen, you get 30,000 people, and we'll have no choice but to listen. And that's what I'd like to see. I'd like to see, we've got a lot of people waking up. The masses are all waking up. Number one, they know there's fraud, but those people are only aware. But there's people that are actually becoming awake because they're really learning where this really lies at. And I almost really don't even like calling it fraud anymore, because they've done it, they've put it out there, but just nobody has taken the time to like look in the federal registry and pay attention, you know, and so they've given it to us, so it's not necessarily fraudulent, you know. It has been kind of done quietly, but it can be undone.
Absolutely. And they did. In other words, if you're not going to govern yourself, you're going to be governed. That's how the world works. And the monarchs of Europe have, through the UPU and their federal zones and all that, through their federal government, okay, or their federal corporation, and working through the United States government in Manhattan Island, all they're doing is looking out for their interests. They're doing investments here. They take minerals when they want. They do what they want because the people don't govern themselves accordingly, or they don't claim a nationality. They don't know who they are. They don't have their bloodline. They don't have a family history. So they say, okay, we'll just govern them. We'll make them subjects and make them think they're voting. We'll play this and play that. We'll do all these things. And they spend a couple of $100 million with the lie, and then they go off and do what they want to do anyways. They have to make their what do we call their products. They have their Walmarts. They have their Targets. They have all the stores, which are all owned by the same people anyways. They have their restaurants and things like that, and it's just business to them. It's international business to them. They don't.
You're absolutely right. And we read in Samuel that God's people said that they didn't want to follow God necessarily anymore. They wanted a king. And he said, okay, you want a king? I'll give you a king. You're not going to like what you get, because they weren't able to rule themselves, or they didn't want to rule themselves. They wanted a king to look up to. And now we found ourselves in this same position.
Yeah.
The people were let out of bondage and they were told, don't go back. Well, guess what? We keep going back, don't we? I'm going to yield the floor here if a couple more people want to ask a brief question, because we're going on 2 hours and I don't want to keep you gentlemen much longer. You guys have lives as well, and I appreciate it. So if anybody else has anything briefly they want to ask, and I really have a feeling we're going to have to bring you guys on again. It's a lot of stuff to cover, and it's tough to do it in one evening.
Absolutely.
So I yield. Thanks, guys.
You're welcome.
Did anybody else have a hand up or anything?
Yeah, we got.
If I may.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
If I may, this is DW. You hear me, Brian?
Yeah, DW, how are you doing, bro?
All right. The people that are on the Uber board, on our conference board, if you have a question or comment, you can press star to unmute yourself. And when you're done, please mute yourself back. Thank you. I yield.
Okay, while they're deciding that, please keep in mind, guys, that we have a lot of government services available online. There's a lot. If you go over to generalpost.info, all of our websites are there. If you go to Government of the United States of America .international, it's spelled out INTERNATIONAL .international, all of the links are there to everything we do. We also have a public notice board that just came up. We've got the T-Rose show that just came out 2.5 months ago. And that's growing, that's doubling every time we put out a new episode. Doubling the listener base. There's a lot of things going on. We've got GPEX, where you can start your own website and you can sell products. We've got generalpostexchange.org, which is a Twitter alternative, like Facebook, Twitter, and MySpace all in one, where everybody can go there and talk. It's no charge. You can also have a generalpostexchange.org email if you'd like. It's perfectly private email. And you can do that. We have ways for you to get continental dollars in the simplest way we could possibly do it, which was under generalpostexchange.com. By signing up, you get 50 points. Those points can be converted to continental dollars, sent to our treasury, pay the shipping, and you get it in the mail. You'll get the cash in the mail. I'm not kidding. That's how we're getting it distributed. You show up and log in every day, you get points for that. And this is just to get the stuff in your hands, okay? You get points for that, and you can transfer those to Continental dollars, pay the shipping, and it'll come to you in the mail. The more people that use the Continental dollars, just by simply using the Continental dollars as national currency on it, you're making your statement right there. The main website is generalpost.info.
I also put up the virtual embassy link.
Yeah, there's a virtual embassy thing there. If you go to GPEX, which is generalpostexchange.com, you can open up an account. If you're just opening up an account, you don't have to go through customs. So don't worry about that. Just close it. If you're going to be selling products and stuff, you'll have to go through customs. But every time you sign up, if you get somebody else to sign up, you get 100 points, which can be converted to Continental dollars. You pay the shipping, and it ends up in your mailbox. Cash in hand. We're not trying to go to digital currency. Who the hell wants that? And it's a Bitcoin, and we know a Bitcoin was started by the U.S. Congress, and the U.S. Congress has handed it over to the Dutch and the bankers. Now they can tax it. Believe it or not, that's where it started. They're trying to go to a digital currency, all digital. We're trying to stay with cash. We're doing the exact opposite. So we had to find a way to get the cash in your hands where it was being earned. Okay, so just show up, sign in every day. You get a certain amount. You go onto a different page, you get a certain amount. Transfer those to your wallet in Continental dollars, give them to the treasurer, and we'll have a record of the transaction. And we'll need on the main thing, we need your shipping address. Okay, on the profile, we need your real shipping address. Don't give us all this non-domestic crap. Don't worry about that. Okay, so just put your regular mailing address there, and we'll get them over to you. We're not kidding. We want these in everybody's hands. We just got to figure out a way to do it without just giving all the money. You're giving it out, and then because it costs money to print those, it costs money to get them shipped, and all this other stuff. If you just cover that, you're going to make a whole lot more money. You can save them. You can keep them. You can start introducing them to your friends. You can start, hey, how do I get those? Get over on GPEX, man. You'll get them. Don't worry. If you get anybody else to sign up, you get $100. And it just keeps going like that over and over. And then you can sell products on there also. You can have your own store where you run it. And we'll help you build it. Build the store where you can start selling your own little products and doing all your own little thing. We're trying to get the marketplace moving. If we get a marketplace moving, that gets the money moving. We got a guy now, he has a bunch of, he's got some energy products that he deals with. They're perpetual energy, that kind of thing. I think he's going to start selling them with GPEX. We got Peru. Okay, there's a guy down in Peru that wants to sell, he needs 150 million from us. So we emailed the Peruvian government and asked them if they would go ahead and accept the Continental dollar legal tender. That was just 2 days ago, so we're waiting for them to come back and say yes or no. People in South America are talking to this government.
And don't forget to emphasize that the governors within the states know we exist also. They've been put on full notice.
And we even got a howdy, how are you from Illinois, Secretary of State. He's a nice guy. Illinois? Tom?
I think he stepped away for a minute.
Okay, trying to go grab a cig. But yeah, I think it was from Illinois.
Yeah, he, whatever state it was, I don't recall, but he responded to the First in Time, the document that we just covered. Mm-hmm. We shipped it to all the governors, that document we just walked you through. And you know, I'm sorry, I can't recall what state he represented, but they did contact Tom.
Okay, Audra, it says, can I register since I'm already an American national? I don't understand what that means. Is Audra an American national? And can you register what? It says, where do you use the continental money? Do you work with any other nations? 2 questions. Okay. Where do you use the continental money? Like we've been saying for the past about 10 minutes, is we've got to get the continental money put in use. So right now you can use it on our market, but you can't use it anywhere else. So we've got to get it spread out to where people can start using it. Okay, so we're working on it. It takes a little bit to get that widely used. Just like Bitcoin. It took Bitcoin a long time before people will start using Bitcoin. But they're really getting some bad press right now because their stuff is not working right. So, do you work with any other nations? Like I said, we're trying to work with Peru. We're also trying to. I think the Apache wanted to use our General Post Office to run their mail, but their president hasn't made any decisions yet. It takes them forever to make decisions. So I just got that message about a month and a half ago, and he says just wait a little while. Says, thank you. Those questions were asked on YouTube. Oh, okay. But that's what we're working on. So it's going to take all of us together to make this happen. Not just a few people can do it and then push a button. Okay, we're not propped up by all of Europe like their president is in the District of Columbia. He can do things like that because he has a network of countries that are supporting him. It takes a lot of people to get something like that moving, and a mass move. There was another idea that I found that I did not know that Walmart does auctions. They're pallet auctions. And some of their pallets have all these different products on it. They're returns, some of them are brand new, some of them are whatever. And you can get a pallet for about 100 USD or less. But the products on there are worth about 10 grand retail. So a lot of people are doing this as a business. And what I was thinking is that we could use a lot of those products, put them on GPEX, and start getting the continental dollar moving.
Well, that's a great idea. Sorry, this is Bryan again, back from Tactical. But a lot of people don't realize, as far as the continental dollar, they only know the Federal Reserve notes that they have in their wallet or in their purse, and they don't know anything else. And they don't realize that there's actually numerous states and counties out there who are trading in their own currencies already. I believe Harper Van Dyke, when he wrote Currencies for Small Communities, really helped push that along and educate people. Unfortunately, you're not going to see that on your local news or anything, but that's what it really takes, is for you to start even using it locally and start educating your local store owners and things like that, and be able to start trading with each other.
Yeah,
actually, the funny story behind that is that we did have a Native American who used it several times.
Right, yeah, they've used it in stores and things like that. The issue we have, and I think the retailers don't care. The retailers that are in the U.S. states now, I don't think they care about any of that. What they're trying to do is, can I buy other products with this? That's all they really care about. In other words, do you have manufacturers that will take it where he can buy his products from them and then resell and retail and all that kind of thing? That's all he's trying to do. He's just trying to make a profit on what he's selling. But he wants to be able to, the money that he brings in, he wants to be able to go to the manufacturer and say, here, I got some, give me 20 more of those. Give me 10 more of those. Give me 5 more of these. And give him cash, and then boom, it goes back. He gets more product to set in a store and all that. That's all he's concerned about. So we need people to start producing or start soliciting the manufacturers to start taking the continental dollar. They're all billionaires. It doesn't matter to them. I mean, it doesn't hurt them at all to take Continental dollars. So I don't understand. We just need a good sales team. We need people like that. But right now we've got we're almost overwhelmed because of the manpower that we need to get this done.
It does take a major manpower, and it takes a lot of people to get things rolling. And anyway, like I said, we're going on 2 hours and 15 minutes pushing it now.
Oh.
I really appreciate you guys coming on. I know a lot of people have questions, and I would love to have you guys on in the future. And maybe we could isolate the topics a little bit. Tonight I really wanted you guys to be able to give the general reasons how everything has happened and where we are. And you've done an excellent job at that. And so this is going to be up on YouTube as well for people to go and review. And also you guys will probably have it on your channel, which I've shared in Tactical Sovereignty. So hopefully people can go back. I'm going to go back and review this YouTube myself again, because there's half a dozen of us that are busy between whether it's taking care of the YouTube link or the Google link or whatever. We've got people on all corners of America trying to get this running smooth this evening. And I think it's actually gone quite well considering the situation here. And like I said, yeah, in the future, maybe we could have you guys on and we could isolate a topic, whether it is the car title, which I think is a big problem. That's an underlying problem when it comes to using the roads. And also taking care of your status and what flag you're flying under. I think that's the first issue that needs to be taken care of. I don't know if you guys have any following up comments to that. And afterwards, maybe we can sign out.
Could not have said it better. It's been a pleasure, folks, and I really do appreciate you listening. And we're going to come up with some really good programs on the T-Row show. So not a plug. That's just where you can listen to some of the stuff if you want to listen to it.
Did you display a link for that, Keith?
Can I help with the manpower? So can you give me info on that? Okay. The link, I believe it's www.t- some people know it as a dash, ROHSHOW.com, T-Row Show. You can go there. And I think we have a Facebook page under the T-Row Show, and we have a Spreaker page and a YouTube page. So if you go to Government of the United States of America YouTube page, it'll have the folder there on the T-Row Show.
No, I also recorded this session too. So if you want to get that later, you can take that. That's up to you.
Can any of us help with manpower? Oh yeah, absolutely. If so, can you give info on that? Do your resident declaration. Get your resident declarations. Take your oaths and affirmations. That helps more than anything. We already have most of this set up as far as naturalization is concerned. Then after that, you're going to be able to figure out what you want to do, how you want to operate. Got to get your cars straightened out. We got to get your chain of title straightened out. We're going to be covering a lot of chain of title by Wednesday, on Wednesday's T-Row show. And we're going to show you all the way back to Genesis 1. That show's going to shock a lot of people.
This is Gary Dunn. May I, please?
Tom's a host, so.
Hello?
Yeah,
Gary
go ahead.
Dunn here.
Yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment of how it was exciting. I was on the first part of the call, and this is the first time for me to call, and I was absolutely shocked and greatly impressed, because I had the wrong monarchy that was running this country. I thought it was the Queen of England, or the English monarchy, and that had anything to do with the Netherlands. And I had been teaching that in Bible studies even,
So is there any connection where the monarchy of England is over the Netherlands?
The monarchy of England is a franchise of the Netherlands.
They're underneath the Netherlands?
King. Yes. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, they are. It shocked us too. I thought for the longest time that England was in charge, and we were giving that queen hell.
Yeah, as soon as you brought up the monarchy, I don't know who the gentleman was speaking. I'm 82 and I have a little trouble hearing, but not that bad. But what's interesting, all these years I've been studying this, and I thought it was the Queen of England, and I take it back to a contract that we made with our father Yodivahi back, our forefathers made back in the day of King Saul, and brought forth the kings. And when the Queen of Israel took her oath when she was 18 years of age, she did not take an oath to be the Queen of England. She took an oath to be the Queen of Israel. That I had on a VCR. So, but you really straighten it out. Now I don't understand all the other things you're doing. It's exciting, but the most exciting part for me tonight that I'll be able to share with a number of folks, that I now understand the connection and why and how and where it occurred. And that I appreciate so much. This is Gary Don from the Thelma, Michigan. Thank you.
You're welcome. It took a lot for us too. And we had a whole series on the Netherlands when we found out about what was going on over there and how they were operating.
Is there any way that I can get in connection to get some paperwork? I'll pay for it and have it sent to me or anything. I don't have an email. And
can you get to a library?
Any number I could? Pardon me?
Can you get to a library?
I'm 30 miles from any town. I'm up in the Thelma, Michigan.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
So. Well, have Bryan forward that address to me and let me know. We'll see what I can get to you.
Yeah, you want me to give you the address?
No, have Bryan send it to me if you would.
Who's Bryan?
Bryan?
It's Bryan on Tactical Sovereignty. If you're on Tactical Sovereignty Facebook group.
Can Rance send it?
Yeah, Rance can send it too.
Yeah, Rance can send it, Gary.
Okay, you're on there. You're on, Dave. Good.
Yeah, I'm still on.
Yeah, good.
Hey, by the way, this is Dave in the Thumb. I'm a friend of Gary's and Rance. Isn't Queen Beatrice Elizabeth's sister? She's Queen of the Netherlands.
I don't know that for sure, Dave. Maybe they'll answer that.
The guys.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know
I'm asking you folks. Yeah, Queen Beatrice. That's she's the Queen of the Netherlands. That's Elizabeth's sister. So those monarchies are definitely linked at the hip.
Yeah, and
we're definitely underneath. Excuse me, we're definitely underneath a queen that was brought through from the time of King Saul through King David and that line. We're definitely underneath that king because this is the new land of Israel. Okay, so we're definitely underneath that somehow shape. But however you want to believe it that's up to someone else. But in my studies, that really just opened up my whole thing. Dave will tell you how excited I was when I heard that. I called him right away, and I said, David, this is Dave in the Thumb here. I said, this is an unreal scenario because the first time I ever heard of you people, and the first time that I was on the call to listen, and I know you had quite a time, and I even know you do some other kind of pictures and stuff, which I only can do the phone. But it just was wonderful to hear it, and I'm excited to learn more and understand. I understand when the gentleman made the mention that they even picked the two candidates that were going to run. We know that. We've always said here in the country, the old patriots have always said, this goes way back, that no one ever gets to run for president unless they're accepted by whoever they are. Okay, we always hear them say the little phrase, the people in the power, whoever they are. Okay, so now I understand it more fully, and it was exciting to hear it. I want you to know that, guys, and thank you for your hard work.
Wait a minute, I just want to know what you mean by you people.
I knew you were going to do that, Tom. I knew you were going to.
What's that?
He's messing with you. Don't worry.
Oh, it's something about the people and the person and all that. I understand all that.
He's talking to you ETs.
He was just messing.
I couldn't resist. I'm sorry. I didn't mean it.
Well, Dave will explain it all to me. That's all right. I'll catch it. But there, I know there's a lot of folks are on, and it just, I tell you, that connection frees us up to understand why I was within LA in the East, and I work with a Colorado group, and so does Dave too. And I can see why when they walk in the courthouse and they ask for an oath of office, the judge says, I don't have one. He doesn't have to have one. Okay? He doesn't have to have one.
Well,
and,
even if
we went through that.
He doesn't have an acknowledgement of the office that he holds, or an acceptance of that office. It doesn't really matter. He doesn't hold an office.
No, he doesn't hold an office. We just think he does. Yeah.
He just sits in an office.
Yeah, I think. Well, yeah,
the neat thing is,
you hear about the reign of the heavens. That's going to change your whole concept about Israel. When you hear about the reign of the heaven, this is going to blow your mind. That's why we're going to be doing it on the T-Row show on Wednesday and talking about that from the beginning.
Yeah, because if you don't understand the beginning, you can't understand the end, and you'll never understand anything in between. That's a known fact.
All has to connect.
Yes. Yeah.
Does anybody know why
it all has to?
You got a lady who'd like to get in. I think she's from Port Huron, Michigan. Go ahead.
Yeah, hi Gary. Queen Beatrix, she handed over her kingdom to her son Willem, and so is he a king or a prince? I think he was a prince. So I think he's a king now. He and his wife were actually here in Michigan this summer over in Grand Rapids. I was wondering if anybody knows the purpose for that visit here.
Well, the people in Grand Rapids are mainly Dutch, and they always tell you if you're not Dutch, you're not much.
She was probably meeting with Dick DeVos.
Yeah. Yes, probably was.
Head of Amway.
Yeah. We got to get these guys, but let them get back on their order there. But appreciate, like I say, it's well appreciated, and it really filled in a big gap. And I guess if you folks that studied this out yourselves, you believe it was the monarch of England, and I think we had every cause to believe it. But she must play some important role in the country, in our country or over our country or something, because when the British went off to fight, their navy went off to the Falkland Islands off of the tip of Argentina, wherever it was there. They wouldn't go unless the United States Navy would either follow them or lead them. So they had an authority called our United States Naval Forces to straighten out the Falklands, if you remember that episode. And of course, England was always getting us in war with somebody. So, yeah. Very interesting.
Kind of frees you up, doesn't it? It did us.
Yeah.
It made me feel free as could be. Yeah. It didn't. It's not going to change my status on my everyday living right away, but it sure helped freed up my mind to understand that, and that's why people say, "Well, do you listen to this thing or that thing?" I says, "I listen to as much as I can because there is so much knowledge out here." And in Hosea, the 4th chapter of the book says, 4th chapter in the 8th verse, I think it says, "My people suffer because of lack of knowledge." And we have become a country that has been said that I think they said about about 2% of the people in this country don't have a thought program or can think. 18% of the people think they think, and the rest would rather die than think. And so it's hard to get to get a think tank together anymore to get people who are sober and straight and can think, so you can sit down and pass problems one to the other. We're certified organic farmers up here in the Thumb, and we get together every so often because we're interested in the certification of the crops, but we're also interested in growing a quality crop for the people who buy it. We're just not interested in making it out for ourselves. And Dave in the Thumb here is quite a nutritionist, and he would speak to that. So we have a think tank, and it's very interesting. All of them are younger than I am, and we really have a great time in a thinking process. So when you buy, if you buy organic, you won't go back to the old idea that some of the worst food you're ever going to eat is grown organically. That is a sad scenario, and I'm old enough to understand the certification process, but it doesn't speak to the fact that we're going to give you a good quality product. So that is our thing here, is to make sure when we send you out a product, it's the best we can do, and we're always seeking to do better for you if you're purchasing that. So that's why we use think tanks.
You know what? We appreciate the farmers out there that are doing that and really care about stuff. And, you know, it's incredible. The more you study, we learn about the fluoride putting into things and the pesticides being used on foods. And I appreciate participation from the group, from people that are in the Thumb of Michigan and other parts of Michigan. I grew up in northern Michigan and went to high school in the Thumb of Michigan, actually in Tuscola County, and lived on Deckerville Road. I'm sure you're familiar with that area.
What's your last name?
Well, my last name is Parker. I don't have any family there.
Okay.
But, you know, I really think this is incredible. We're reaching people all over America, and this is what needs to be done. We're told that in these times, there'd be a great transfer of information. And that's what's happening right now. And I appreciate these gentlemen coming on this evening. And DW, who runs a couple of our boards for us, I think is going to come on and get ready to sign us out.
Actually, it's going to be.
Bryan, Bryan, is it possible for
love everything you've got.
Van Dyke? Is it possible at all for Hartford Van Dyke to ask a question? Or
Go ahead, Bryan. Go ahead, Bryan.
Go ahead, Bryan. Hartford Van Dyke is always welcome to ask a question.
Yeah, Hartford's on another program.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
All right. Well, if Hartford's not here available to ask a question, then, you know, I think we're all going to be back again in the future. I can definitely foresee that.
Thank you.
So,
I left the call in information.
DW,
Excuse me? Sorry.
beg your pardon? Yes.
I left the call-in number on the chat for our numbers that you can connect to if you ever want to get in on our assembly calls or whatever. On Monday nights, we have at 7 Central, it's room number 857-232-0155. Anybody that wants me to repeat that, I can. And on Tuesday at 8 Central, same room number, 857-232-0155.
Is that AM or PM?
Is that AM or PM?
It's PM.
And if you send me a link to those, I will post them in Tactical Sovereignty for everybody as well on Facebook.
I don't know if there's a link to them or not, but I did post them in the chat.
Okay.
Can you see the chat?
They were
posted on YouTube
as well.
Were they? Oh, okay. All right.
I'm going to go ahead
and end this call for DW.
This has been Matrexit Broadcast Media. It is now 9:30
p.m.
Thank you and have a great night.
Thank you, guys. Tom, Keith, really appreciate all the information. Unbelievable stuff.
Oh, the rabbit hole gets deeper than this.
The organizer has ended this Uber conference. Goodbye.